Coffee competitions are a world of their own, where even the smallest details count, from the choice of green coffee beans that you take to how you roast them, how you brew them, and how you present yourself. And if you want to succeed in coffee competitions, then you really need people around you that can support you, that can give you specific information and help. And one of the teams that is not only the strongest in competing themselves, but also supporting others in competitions is the team of Nucleus Coffee Tools. And therefore, I am super happy that we had the opportunity to do a webinar together with Sam Corra and Jerome Rosler from Nucleus Coffee Tools, where we deep dived into how to roast coffee on the Nucleus LINK Roaster for specific brewing methods and for specific green coffee beans. You will now see an extract of the webinar. The webinar has been a part of a series that we are doing as Roast Travels together with Nucleus Coffee Tools. Roast Travels is a European distributor for Nucleus Coffee Tools. You have the Link Roaster, but also the NCDs, NCD Pulse, and the Paragon range available for you in Europe. And if you ever want to participate in one of these webinars yourself, then have a look at the webinar page, which you find linked here or up here for the next dates, and then also possibility to register. But now I would say let's start and deep dive into the topic of roasting for competitions.
Ingo did a great representation, but Jerome and myself are both competitors. We've come from companies who are strongly invested in competing, and the link, essentially the backbone of the link, is really refined from competition. Obviously, the product was originally designed for origin with the features and functions and capabilities. But when it comes to the profile packs, this is all inspired by the people that we've worked with over the last 5, 6, 10 years, even when we weren't working on link specific roast profiles, and taking that knowledge that we've learned and adapting it to approaches that make anyone who wants to roast coffee to their best and has a particular outcome be able to achieve that outcome through this system. I like to go back to the beginning. The really foundation point of link and profiling system is around 2021 competitions. This gentleman became quite well known by winning the World Championship that year over in Maillard. Now, a little thing that people don't know about Link is when you open up the system, there's a Nucleus default profile. This is the default profile. You open it, little Easter egg that I've decided to share is this is actually the exact profile we used for the 2021 World Championship to roast pretty much all of his coffees. It's 208 NCD, and it's an approach that everyone bases on. And this is the foundation that built the initial idea of a profile pack. We took that one profile after that success, we duplicated it 41 times, and that became the alpha set that we built the profiling system around. Now, the challenge we had here is we had a coffee that was not suited for milk base. It was a beautiful washed Kenyan, amazing filter coffee, fantastic espresso. But as we know, the foundation of milk base is generally around body, sweetness, structure, heaviness to cut through the fats, the sugars of the proteins of the milk. This approach is quite unique and allowed us to develop what then became the B15 and the D12 cupping profiles. And this is thinking outside of the box. You think about milk-based coffee as a ability that you want the cut of the strength of the espresso to make the impact of the flavor, but this is just using on a different catalyst. What we decided to do was make a coffee that was really intense, but intense in characteristics of acidity, intensive characteristics of aromas, and especially florality. Now, we use the catalyst of the fats and the sugars in the milk to actually create a softer, creamy body, and that acidity to really create the distinct, unique flavors of the coffee. These approaches were fantastic for unique short beverage milk-based profiles. So anything that was around, let's say, between 70 to 90 grams of milk, doing these faster style roasts is a really nice way to express milk-based coffee in a different way. So if anyone's in the barista world, you've got a very expensive coffee, or you're just at home and you're wanting to try a unique and different approach to making a fantastic milk-based coffee, don't be scared that it's a cupping profile. I know by theory and by you taught that espresso needs to be longer, more Maillard, more development. But the idea behind this was thinking out of the box to create a scenario that was different. This allowed us to create a very unique approach that works amazing for cupping coffees and became a default profile because it just really works so well, both of these two coffees as our base range. But it's also a little one there for you guys to note that please try them if you're looking for a unique milk-based experience. You will need a slightly longer extraction, around 1 to 2.5, or even a little bit longer, getting into the threes. And again, as I said, anywhere from 70 to 100 grams of milk in order to utilize those profiles. The idea was we're working with these people globally, not just people that we're, in the same room developing profiles, but actually creating stuff in our own rooms and environments for them and sending them across the world in order to get an understanding. More people are wanting to use the link for filter development. So we need to start to look at ways in which we can create filter specific profiles. We also helped some other competitors, Wilford Jr., Les Masters, and a few others that year. And it made us realize we really need to start making direct filter applied profiles. And the Grey Carno is a very interesting dripper where it has fantastic clarity, but we need quite a soluble coffee in order to get the most out of it. And we found that the filter B, in developing that particularly for Nicole's approach, was something that just worked so well that it became a staple. As you see, Jerome still using it in 2025 for different competitors, and it's still achieving really fantastic results. So know when you're approaching these profiles and looking to use those different styles, they're actually coming from a place of merit, experience, and feedback from the competitions in order to direct, correct, and create that particular profile that we're looking for. Jerome touched on this, but as we can say, fine details make a champion. And he did mention that he took that filter C approach and customized it slightly. As you can see, this is the WBrC 2024 profile, the same profile Martin used in Chicago. And we took that and made that into a profile pack that everyone who wants to use that profile can take any coffee they have and approach it. But you can see the changes that Jerome made when he used this base profile are rather minimal. Main one is a little bit adjustment at the start of the roast with the heat. The main focus was shifting this earlier, higher, more aggressive cracking point, as well as a higher, sharper increase in order just to get the most out of that beautiful Lost Origin Finca Maillard coffee that Martin used for that particular year. We have also that higher increase, as I mentioned at the end, because we wanted that solubility. And I think this is really important when selecting the roast plan overview, which you can do in the link system or go online and have a look at the different roast profiles, is think about your outcome first. What is the brewer? How am I going to prepare this coffee? And then roast the coffee that will best suit that particular coffee and brewing device that you're going to brew with. Maybe not the best approach to roast a coffee and then decide how to then brew it. I think starting with the outcome first is generally the best way for us to at least find the way in which you want to prepare the coffee and the solution in terms of roast approach, which is going to give us the best outcome for that qualities or attributes that you might want to achieve. That went into creating the version 4 profile. Now, I know we have a lot of brewers in this chat, but I want to just mention that Link is now not just about cupping or brewing coffee. We have Angus Mackey. He's the only one of us who is still in the barista comps, heavily involved and absolutely loves espresso. We're actively developing not only just the espresso space that we have, but working on new stuff, introducing elements into the Omni profile space that allows us to extend and change. But it's definitely an active thought process that if someone has a lower dispensable income or, less support, maybe they're not from a bigger roastery, but still wants to be actively involved in these competitions. Right now, I'm working with a few people over for the Sweden competition who are never roasted their own coffee, don't have access to maybe the roast they're looking for, but working on approaches for them in order to still allow them the resources to be competitive and successful from the experience we have from working with the champions like Sasha Sestic, that was coffees we roasted, Agnieszka Rowinska, the Polish barista champion, who then became the world champion. These are approaches and understandings. We have even Hugh Kelly, who's a multi-time finalist that we've worked with over many years, and putting them into the way in which we design profiles to be accessible to anyone wanting espresso. Now, competitions is always a magic for refinements, and this is a little exciting space and something that why Jerome myself says that if you're competing, if you're having struggles, reach out to your distributor, get a contact, get them to put in, us a message across, and we're happy to understand your needs and look to customize and adapt different approaches. This space is a lot of excitement. Now, it doesn't look like much but lines and curves right now, but we're testing over 40 unique and individual approaches across all roast styles, cupping, brewing, espresso, omni, to bring the new and exciting developments that whatever we've learned from this comp season, whatever feedback that we've got from competitors or brewers or that, how do we address their needs? If someone has a particular new style of dripper that we've never seen, making sure that there's a roast profile we can recommend as a go-to. We're always developing, tinkering, tasting, and playing. So even though these approaches are not commercially available just yet, not all of them may become commercially available, but there's always something in the pipeline that we always have something we are developing, working on, or understanding in order to make roasting and getting the outcome that you're looking for much easier. So if it's not commercially available or you're just looking for that feedback and the information, the greatest thing about the Link community and Nucleus as a whole is it's not just about the products, it's also about the community. We have got where we have in our competitive and career worlds through support and knowledge of others. And it's at a time that we want to do things to allow those who have the desire to be able to reach their, best outcome of what they want to express through how we can help. So please reach out. We're always happy to have a look at a way in which we can suggest some different approaches and hopefully get you to a better starting point.
When she competed just recently in Jakarta, she used a Lost Origin coffee that was collaboration with Las Margaritas over in Panama. Her decision was to use the Hario Switch. Hario Switch, for those who aren't familiar with it, is an immersion and percolation dripper that just allows you the flexibility in terms of brewing to make things quite simple. For her, she used that hybrid capability, but extended the steeping time, allow her to have be able to replicate it from brew to brew. And by utilizing that brew technique, she really wanted to enhance the flavor clarity and really get that structured weight slash mouthfeel slash tactile that we were just talking about. So if we're breaking down her roast when we're looking at it for the link, what I utilized was a filter B base. For those who aren't aware, Sam will be going through it a little bit later, but we have different bases when it comes to all of our filter packs. We have anything from A to E, including the WBrC one that I created for Martin last year. So with Eline, to get the most out of her coffee, we utilized a profile from filter B, but we wanted to speed up the Maillard. The reason why we wanted to speed up the Maillard is because that she was using the switch brewer, and she was actually able to get a lot of the sweetness and weight that you typically get out of Maillard, but she wanted to strip that back a little bit and do a little bit of a shorter development and let her brewing technique like really take over. Now, the benefit on this was that she was able to really intensify her flavor clarity, but as well get that acid that she really needed out of the coffee because alone with her brewing technique, she struggled to get like really high quality acidity. So as we see when we're looking at this roast curve right here, what you can see is that the filter B actually typically starts to crack when it's around 7 minutes. So what we did was we increased these temperature points so that the first crack was happening here at 7:15. Sorry, not 7:15, at 6:30 instead of at 7. And we did a development that was much shorter of typically what you would do, which is 45 seconds. And you can see the temperature increase of 3.7. So this coffee was cracking at 210.5, and it actually finished at 214.2. She found this to be super successful. Her coffee was absolutely amazing. It's one of the more kind of floral slash fruit mixes. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make finals, but honestly, she's probably going to be up there again next year. She's an absolute weapon, and the coffee is so good. And she was actually able to really work with her coach and work alongside me and be able to really get the most out of this coffee. And for me, it was definitely one of the highlights of the entire competition. The next one is Justin. Justin is from the US. He's very new to the industry, which was very cool to see. He actually used a coffee that was quite close to Sam and myself, which is called Vivid. This is a coffee from Jameson Savage over in Panama from Finca Debra. It's really cool because it's CM wash, meaning the whole coffee was carbonic macerated, fermented for like quite a short period. This allowed that wash coffee to have a little bit more intensity to it with Jameson's classic wash style. And then he used like really cool drying techniques where he has 3 different drying beds to get 3 different humidities. And basically, we're able to really get the tactile element of it really unique. Brewer that he used, this is an April switch. You can see a picture of it here. Think of it as the same thing that I was talking about before, which is the Hario switch. But this one is flatbed, and you can see he's using wave filter paper. It just allows you to do percolation and immersion. What's really unique is that he had his whole topic on hybrid, so hybrid processing and hybrid brewing, and it really correlated well to his entire theme. And for us, we really wanted to get a longer Maillard with this shorter first crack because we really just wanted to basically put this wash coffee on steroids and really give it all that it's capable of, meaning we wanted to see all the florals and all the fruit possibilities. So what we did was a more of a unique approach, I would say, a space that doesn't get utilized much in comps, which is the Omni D303. So what we did was we wanted to have a super long approach in comparison. The ones that you saw before, a lot of them were cracking at like 7 or 7.5 minutes. By extending the Maillard here, we're actually able to develop even more sweetness and more mouthfeel and really open up this coffee. I really highly suggest this with wash style coffees because it can just make them truly pop. We're actually going to be teasing some things that we're going to be looking at a little bit later. But for this coffee, it worked incredibly well. You can see the development was quite low, was only doing 7.7%, but actually correlated over to 48 seconds. Over the roast, you can see the cracking point was at a much lower point, being at 202, and the temperature increase was only 2.9. For me, this was probably one of my top 3 coffees I've had this year. It was absolutely crazy. Like the orange and yellow floral combination was so intense and so distinct. He had this really round, syrupy mouthfeel, which is really hard to get out of wash coffees. Typically, wash coffees are quite thin, silky, and etc. And he was really able to make this complex while being super clear. And utilizing this hybrid of immersion and percolation, he was really able to push this roast. He actually ended up using something that was quite fresh off roast, which I found to be quite unique. His routine, I highly always suggest watching. It's a very, very good energy, personality, and figure, but as well as just well executed and really thinking more about how roast will correlate over to brew. And he really nailed it. And he ended up being a finalist as well. So he has 2 routines that are available on YouTube as well that you can watch. But one thing I kind of wanted to pinpoint is like how each of some profiles that I would use as like starting points if I'm wanting to achieve like certain things within the roast. So for aroma, if I'm wanting to get one of the best aromatic expressions that's quite round and still crazy lively, is Filter E. This is because of its fast drying approach. If you ever are cupping or brewing a coffee side by side and you just want this crazy intense aromatic expression, I would always suggest starting off with Filter E. The next one, if you're really wanting to have that flavor, Justin was that premium kind of style. For flavor with this longer Maillard, I would always suggest trying to do like Omni D, anything that's like 42 seconds all the way to like 47, 48 seconds really opens up that flavor clarity and it becomes quite linear. The only thing you need to be worried about is how the mouthfeel, acid, and sweetness all integrates, and that you can always adjust through your brewing, through your water as well. Next one would be for the aftertaste. You really want something that's like quite a gentle style development and quite stable ROR with a finish. There's actually some profiles that we're working on behind the scenes at the moment. So if you are interested in competing and stuff, I would love to get more in touch as well. But one I would be definitely recommending as a starting point is Filter B. The next one would be Sweetness. This is by stretching the Maillard. Omni D is a very good one, but a classic one for me would be Filter C. This was actually the base on which I was using for Martin when he won Worlds a couple years ago in Chicago. I utilized Filter C and made some adjustments to it because I really wanted to make the acidity pop, not just the sweetness. So acidity, like just how I was saying, I like it with shorter style roast or shorter style development as well. The Martin WBrC pack that we have within here is amazing if you want to do any kind of like Panama, Guatemala, Honduras, Central American Gesha. This is such a good starting point. Raul Rodas, who made finals and worlds, he actually just used exactly the same. He just did 207 WBRC, and he was the only one using like a non-Colombian, Panama Gesha that actually made it into the finals, which was really cool to see. And he was just using the basic template of that and just developing it for 12.5%. Next one for mouthfeel, you just want that even rate of rise, decrease. And for me, it's like Filter B. As I was saying, please reach out to us if you are competing. We'd love to help, love to support you guys. So if you don't have our contact already, you can reach out to Ingo and he can point you in kind of the right direction. We always love creating new profiles. As I was saying, like the way that we kind of really inspire ourselves through coffee is through competitions and through different brewing methods. And these are through the people and the deeper community. So please get in touch with us if you are competing.
You brought these examples on how you work together with competitors. Can you maybe just tell people how such a cooperation or like a partnership with a brewer is going to happen, how it's going to start, and who can have access to this support from your side?
Yeah, I would say everybody and anybody, to be honest. So even if you're a home brewer, like honestly reach out to us. And if you're like really inspired about trying to change your brew technique or understanding a little bit more how roast actually gets correlated into the final cup, please reach out. Like Ingo, please send them over to us. We're always happy to understand and take on feedback of how we can make our profiles even better, or ways in which they can utilize the system to even gain a further value. Because for me, at the end of the day, the link is not just a roaster, it's an education resource to kind of set you up for success, whether that's with competitions or if that's brewing your coffee in your daily morning to get you going with work, but having that coffee be the best representation of what it could possibly be.
I hope this video was helpful for you. If you want to participate in one of the next webinars, then have a look at the webinar page where you find the next dates and the possibility to register. You find the link down there. And if you're interested in a Nucleus Link or one of the other Nucleus coffee tools like NCD, NCD Pulse or Paragon, then head over to our website roasterlevels.com. And if you have any additional questions on coffee roasting, or if you are looking for support for your coffee competitions, then always get back to me. You'll find my contact on roasterlevels.com.